Good morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time you're tuning into this, to our fourth Lunch and Learn of the week. I'm going to be your host, Gregory Goldston, on Thursday, January 30th here. Let's go through the rundown, the checklist. We got Decision Support YouTube channel, which is a fantastic resource, and there are videos currently being uploaded to that. I would highly recommend checking it out for particular needs, walkthroughs, or previous lunch and learns if you want to see how particular questions were answered. We have the Decision Solutions Marketplace, which contains previous inquiries within the forum, which is connected to the marketplace. And in the marketplace itself, we've got different example projects that you can bring into your environment and either deconstruct, build upon, or just understand how they work to make your own process. And of course, we've got the handy dandy DocBot, which is a great tool to be able to ask questions, is Decision's version of a smart chat robot that reads our documentation and puts it in plain text readable English for you. I mean, our documentation should be that already, but it helps find the stuff for you, as well as helping you build out processes. Another reminder, we have another EST stand-up as well that goes on between 2 to 3 p.m. on our business days. This is in addition to the one that we run between 9:30 and 10:30 a.m., not instead of it. So feel free to come to either one. It may not be the same person running it, but same style. Here to answer your questions. Speaking of answering questions, Q&A is open. Feel free to post stuff. And I already see that we have a hand raised from Chaco. So I will give it like 2 minutes with some questions coming in, and then DeChaco, I'll meet you and we'll get started on that. So in that time, maybe like 1 minute actually. Yeah, maybe like 1 minute. In that time, I am going to share my other screen. I don't know why that screen dropped. I thought I was sharing it. You're like seeing it, right? Yeah, screen I'm sharing. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let me stop sharing and try again. Hey, there we go. All right. We're running out of the default food items in our catalog of images, so I'm starting to use my own. Today's going to be Eggs Benedict. So I think we are good to start going over questions now. DeChaco, I'm going to allow you to talk. And yeah, what you got? You should be able to speak now.
Yep. Is there a way to save a file locally from your PC into an application, but to a UNC folder
Let me make sure I'm understanding the ask correctly. You're trying to save a file.
or upload a file, I should say, to the server or to some UNC path so that the application then could look at that file and then somebody else, maybe from another side of an application, could download that file.
Yeah, you should be able to do that in decisions. Let me pull up just a general outline of the flow real quick. So I'll call this file upload. Yeah, so you can do it as a constant. Usually the most user interactive way is through a form, of course. So we'll just add a quick file upload component here, which pretty sure that's not the portion. That's the hard part here. File upload form, specify it here, and then I'll put just the file upload component here. No need to make it
Mhm.
particularly difficult. All right, save that. And now, just to make sure I understand this correctly, you're saving it to some sort of like shared drive or shared server that they all have access to.
Correct.
All right, you have a few options for that. So, first of all, if you want to set up an SFTP server that everyone can access, you can do it this way. You specify the host, local host, or whatever this is running on, if it's a different sort of one. Specify if you want to
This
use the secure version.
this is just a network share, basically.
I believe there is,
I think it's under network. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. So, yeah, copy files, find files, move files. Um, You can move files between here once you specify. I can get the full documentation path for this, but something that you should know from this, when you're moving files, when a file gets uploaded into a file form and moved throughout the decisions environment, it gets saved into the file storage to be used in that flow later, right? So that file storage, which is somewhere that you specified on your local install, has a particular way to access this file. And the way that it works is the file is going to have an ID associated with it. Typically like 01, 0H, something like that, and then the rest of the stuff. When you navigate under that specified folder within your file path, which I'm trying to bring up a folder to display that here. Give me just a moment. Program files, decisions, file storage, primary, and then I believe it's under flow data. Okay, yeah, this is a good example here. So dragging this onto the screen. Nope, nope, nope. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. There we go. All right, so you all can see you can see it on the screen now, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. So I've gone under program files, decisions, file storage, primary, under flow data. This is where it gets stored, right? So I mentioned that every file has an ID. If you follow it to that ID, so like is if the first two characters are 0 and then H, it would be saved into here. You can move it from here, from the path to the network move, right? The full file path from the full file path. So you can grab it directly from your decisions file storage without even creating a copy of it. So you're not duplicating data and then pass it along into the full path. You're saying it's probably going to be a constant here. Yeah, domain prefix name, password, server IP or DNS, and then the username. Is that making a little bit of sense, or can I give a little
I
bit more
mean, I think
context?
you're over complicating it. I just wanted to basically have a UNC. I mean, I do have a accessible UNC path that everybody can get to. And that form that you just built should just be able to point to a local file. Let's say it was on my PC and
Mhm.
just transfer it to that UNC path. That's basically it.
Probably just here. Probably just move file to. This is going to have everything that the decision service account has access to. And when you specify the file name that you're moving, you'll do the exact same sort of thing. Now, I do want to mention with this, moving the file is not a file data input because what it does is it takes wherever the file is stored, like I was mentioning the same sort of stuff before with the folder. I'll pull that up again so you can see it. It follows this naming convention. You can't grab the file data directly and then move it to that path. You can create it there, right? Like I can, I think it's create. Let me create file. I think that's what it's called. Yeah. So the data, I can specify a list of bytes here, right, which comes from file data, and then move that file to the appropriate path. The file name itself is the full path plus the file name. So it would be something if I wanted to do it constant here is like, C program files, or if I wanted to set it somewhere else, like C users, specify the user, downloads or whatever, right? And then the file name,
Mhm.
text uh, test.txt or something like that. So that would be a way you don't have to get any sort of network shares or anything involved with that. You're just moving stuff locally that everything that the Surface account has access to would be able to work with that. I should mention that as a caveat for this is that whatever Surface account you have running decisions has to have access to this directory.
Okay, I think that's where my problem is too, is just to making sure that the service account has access to the treasure because I'm getting a file access denied. You know,
Yeah, that's probably what you can do. So you can rerun the inst. Let me see if I have a copy of the installer, and I'll show you exactly where to do it. I do have a copy. Let me just get it up. Pardon me for just a moment, because it's a very simple process to change it. Just let me pull it up. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to sort through here. I want the 9.6 installer. We're gonna run as admin. Yes, I do want to make changes, all that stuff. All right. So here's a 9.6 installer. I'm going to
Yep.
click change settings on
Yep.
update, update,
Yep.
accept that sort of stuff. And then you have to make sure that you show the service settings. As soon as you do that, now the option to pick the local system account or specify the account with those permissions will come
Which is
into
what I
play.
did. Yep. That's what I did. So I do have a specific account that I'm using to run decisions, we'll call it.
Hmm.
So that's the same account that would have to have access to the directory.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah. If you're still having some issues, please let us know or we'll be glad to put in a support ticket. But that is the idea behind it and how that functions.
Okay. But it is possible to have the destination be a UNC path.
Let me confirm that. Uh,
Like if you have a shared folder somewhere on a server.
yes, yes, you can. Yes, you should be able to. I believe I've come across that use case before, even back in version 8 for a customer trying to do that. I can confirm with our devs, but I'm almost certain that that functions.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, cool beans. Alrighty, yeah. I will then save this and we'll back out and we'll check for further questions. Angel posted one. I need to know how to cast an integer back into a string. So you started with a string that's comma separated numbers and ordered numerically, and the only way you could figure out how to do it was to turn it into a string list. Convert each item into an integer, sort in list, and then cast back from integer to string. However, the cast object isn't turning it back into a string. Let me unmute you here and we can go over your process. Pardon me for just a moment. All right, Angel, you should be able to talk now.
Okay. So basically, I have a comma separated string coming in. The numbers are out of and they're numbers, but it's a string. The numbers are out of order. I need to return it as a comma separated string with the numbers in order. But the only way to sort that as a string is it's not allowing me to sort it numerically. So I
Hmm,
was like, okay, I need to convert it to integers, sort them that way, and then return it back, turn it back into a comma separated string. And yeah. So the problem is that I was able to get far enough through, but and sort the integer, the list of integers. But as I do a for each to convert it back, each one of those back into a string to then merge them together, it's not giving me that option.
interesting. All right, let's see here.
And
So we got
the only
this.
thing I could find was cast object, and it's throwing an error.
Yeah, cast object is a little bit trickier to work with. We might get into that, but let's start with the basics here. So we got that, we've got the string, and then we want to order it by um, convert. I'm guessing just a converter or something like that. Convert string to. That's not what I'm looking for. And then what step did you use? You used just the default converter, right? That ran.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, when I inputted it, I created a new list of integers, and when I inputted that, like through the for each inputted each item, it allowed me to convert from the string to like the individual string to the integer.
Hmm. And then here we're gonna sort this. Actually, hold on. I don't have an integer here. Let me fix that. Okay. Sort array, select. Oh, well, if it's not connected, it's not going to get there now, is it? Flow data, string list, and then actually we'll run the converter on that. That's what we're going to do. And then the converter, sorry, the Zoom screen's in the way. Converter, convert string to.
I
Hmm.
did it through a list. I created the list of integers first and then sorted it.
You convert it. Okay,
So you have your
gotcha.
original list of string,
Right.
and then I created the list of integers.
Did you do that through like a loop where you convert each one?
Yep.
Ah, okay, that makes sense. Let's do that. And then I'll just use the add item to list step. We're going to build this out. This is going to take just a few minutes here, but let's make sure that we're working with the same sort of process, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so pass that in. New item, of course, will be item. Oh, wait. That has to be a list of type integer, and then we have to run a converter on that. Convert string to int. There we go.
Yep.
And then the original list, because it's connected, I can select new list again, which is a fun little shortcut here. And then we'll change the value of new list, which is now present because I looped it in the first time. So there we go. All right, new list created. That'll create the string list. We'll sort the array of strings, which will be the output of new list here. All right, this gets sorted. And I'm going to do descending order.
Yeah.
It might yell at me if I put this in unformatted or not. We'll see it. We're just going to debug this real quick and see if it likes it. Okay, it was fine. That's what I was thinking. Okay. Perfect. All right. Cool. All right. And now the trick is trying to get them back into the string.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's think about how to do that. I'm wondering if string builder would be an option, but I don't really know if that would work. What do we have? I'm gonna try something interesting here. I don't really know if this will work, but seems like a fun way to do it.
Okay.
So, and does it have to be a list of strings or does it just have to be the comma separated? Like, are you making a long string again?
Yeah, I need the commas separated is what I need to return. Yeah.
Okay.
So it doesn't need to be the list. Just didn't know how to do that without creating the list.
Hmm. Uh, there's got to be a simpler way to do this, but I do know a way off the top of my head to do this.
Okay.
So we'll go here. We're going to pass in the original list, and we're actually going to just build another list. So add item. Again, this will work. I just don't. Let's see here. Character. Is it insert character? Join strings with special characters. That might be it right here. I'll see if this works. So let's see. Drag this in. Get the item by index. And the item index, hold on, we need to call this something different. Flow data, that's going to be getting our new list, integer 32. This has to be called something different. I'll call this item 2, item index 2. And now when we pass the item index into here, this will update dynamically with each one in the loop. So we can just pull that from the flow data, get item index 2. The list that we will be adding to is let's see, list item, and we want to grab that from our integer list. Where did it go? New list, that's what it's called. And then it'll pass the list item. This will get overwritten each time, so that's not going to be a problem. And oh, it didn't like that for item index. Let me try that again, my bad. There we go. So flow data new list, item index is item index 2. That goes through, yeah, the item to the list. The original list is going to be called new list 2. And this should be a list of strings now. So the original list is going to be, let me connect this. New list 2, which is going to be blank. It gets created here. The new item we're going to run a converter on. Let's see if this functions.
I'm not seeing where the list you're working from is an integer though. Did I
Oh, I didn't
lose?
change that. Nope, that's my bad. I forgot to change that. Oh, well, actually, I want this to be a string
Yeah,
because,
but
oh, sorry, what were you
so
asking?
are you starting from the original list or are you starting from the sorted array?
I'm starting from the one that had its character split.
Okay.
So right
So
here,
it is a
this
string.
it's a string. Yep, it's a string originally, and I can go into that as well, the split string, right? I can split string by character position or split string by, character, that sort of thing. I didn't do that portion. I can do that. I just jumped right into the portion where we have an unsorted list of strings that got their
Hmm.
characters removed.
Okay.
Yeah, so we can do the split string by character, right?
Well, I'm just not sure if I follow what you're doing. I'm just wondering, like, if I'm starting with this, like what your example, 3, 5, 2, 8,
Hmm.
and I have more than one number that's not in order like that, um, how is this gonna help? Because you're not sorting it. That's where I'm confused, I guess.
I'm not sorting it. I'm sorting it
And
right here.
yeah, but that's not where you're coming from the split string one, not the or the create data that not the sort array in the second for each loop is what I'm seeing. Am I misunderstanding?
This is coming from the sorted array, right? Yeah, this. Oh, I grabbed the wrong one. That's all it is. Sorry. I grabbed the wrong output. My bad. I meant to put sort array in here. Thank
Okay,
you.
okay, okay.
My bad. That's all. I just grabbed the wrong one. There we go. Sort
So that's
array.
an integer.
That's right. Sort array is an integer. List. It's a list of integers. I'm getting the item by index, which will go through the for each. I'm going to add item to the step. And now here is the moment of truth. Can the converter function?
Yeah.
That is it for each individual item. Interesting. Actually, wait, that's because decisions might do that for me if I specify item 2. Even though it's an integer, it knows how to put an integer to a string. I don't need a converter. So there we go. So now we have list 2, which is a list of string that has been sorted. It'll get passed out here. It'll go into the join strings with special characters, right? So the separator, I'm assuming, is a comma, I think you mentioned.
Hmm.
All right, so separator is going to be a comma. Cannot. Oh, I hate that. Those are the only two things that I have, really. I can't just.
Well, if I do join strings, not with special character, but if I do join strings, it gives me the option to put the comma in there,
Okay, I'll do that then. That's what it is. Get rid of
which I
that.
think is weird, but it worked.
I mean, we take it. Yeah, that's what it'll be. And then we'll pass in the source is going to be our new list 2 that got output the list of strings. And now our output should accept final list, which will be a list of strings. And then we'll run it from the top.
So getting the item by the index as opposed to actually pulling it should allow us to should convert it to a string is what you're saying.
Right, because I'm doing it one by one now instead of trying to map in a whole list. And Decisions knows how to handle going from an integer to a string. It just
Okay.
knows, yeah, that for a default item. I don't know about an integer list to a string list per se, but now if I
Hmm.
debug this, we have the sorted array here. We have the comma separator. They're all in one. That gets output.
Okay. Perfect.
Yep. So again, there might be a better way to do this, but I know this works.
As long as it works, that's all I care about at this point. You're right. It didn't make sense to me. I'm like, it should be a relatively easy thing. It was like, I'm
Yeah,
surprised we don't have a converter that's
it's
created to
actually
allow us to
so
do it.
easy
But
that we decided not to include a converter. That's why Decisions
yeah.
just knows how to handle that.
And so, but the thing is I've got to get it by the item, by the index, not necessarily for each itself. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it'll convert list to list identically. I think it does have to go through that in some way. There might be a way to do that with some steps, but yeah, they would have to figure out another process for that.
Like I,
Vitali is raising his hand. He might have that process on lock. So let me
okay.
unmute him. Sorry, I'm trying to get the participants up. It keeps dropping. All right, Vitali, what you got?
Yeah, so basically, you don't need for each loops here. You can just sort array, and it doesn't matter because integer to string is like native. That's fine. So you can avoid both of those for eaches, and
I get what you're saying then.
you'll be
So
fine.
yeah, so what you say is that you can just sort the string as it is without converting it. So in your sort array, pass in a string, pass in your list of strings from before, which is your string list, I believe. I think that's what we call the output on this. Yeah, string list. So just sort that array, get rid of that, take that to the end, or sorry, join strings, my bad. Let me join the strings there, and that will be the sorted array output. And now if I debug this, these are all strings still. It didn't even convert them to integers.
Okay, that's perfect. I must have done something to mess it up earlier because when I tried that, it didn't work. But hey, as long as it works, that's all I care about.
Yeah,
See,
you have to
that's what
specify
makes
the
sense to
type.
me is that it would automatically sort it. And I was like, why is it not putting it in numerical order? So
Yeah, maybe just specify the type here. Maybe it was on integer by default. I
yeah.
don't know specifically. A quick
Okay.
question, what version are you running?
9,
Nine. Okay,
9.3, I
gotcha.
think.
9.3. Okay, yeah, I don't think we had any changes to that over that time. All right, cool. Sounds
Good
good.
question though. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the help.
Of course. All righty. The next question we have is from an anonymous submitter. I had a question relating to emails. When I send email from a flow, I want to be able to modify where the undeliverable is sent and what it says, but I don't see how to do it. The undeliverable. So you're talking about you send an email, the email address you send it to can't receive it, and then you want to receive a message back to a particular user. Is that what the question is? So I'm not 100% sure I understand the ask here. Let's go into here, create a send email step. So
Gregory, I think the question is, how do I know if the email is not delivered? And in that case, you would need to monitor your uh, outgoing, your inbox when you receive that email was not delivered, and you need to check on that.
yeah, there is a tool in decisions as well. I'm going to bring this up. If you go under system, administration, system tools, and then event viewer, integration details, or I might be going to the wrong. Hold on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Count active users, boot history. It's one of these particular ones that actually shows when particular integration things do not run. It's not system validation. No, that's not it. Pardon me for a moment. I'm curious if I can find this. Flow management, integration activities. Here we go. All right. So this has a specified is fail true or false. And if it fails, it will give you the error code here. This does not necessarily mean that it failed in the flow, but that the email outgoing did not work properly. So this is a fantastic way to check if your emails were not sent or not, is
Oh,
going to
Gregory, this means that your server was not able to send email. But
right.
I think the question is that if I'm able to send the email, but the email address is not valid, then I should receive email that it's not deliverable. Then I need to monitor my inbox.
Yeah. Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, if for some reason, if that's what it is, if it's not deliverable because of something on their end, then yeah, that's where you would go for that. If it's something on your end with sending, this is where you would go. System tools, flow management, integration activities. All right, cool beans. We will go to the next question, which is from Umar. which is there a way to use secure text / password text in truth tables, similar to we have a constant page? I'm trying to maintain development and production constant values in a truth table and trying to mask the sensitive information on the screen rather than showing it as plain text. I'm gonna let you talk real quick and we can go over that. Give me a moment. All right, you should be able to talk. So you've got system constants that are masked or a secured value. And when you're trying to use those in a truth table, you want to be able to populate all of these objects from there. Is that correct?
1 minute. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, cool. So basically what I'm trying to do is right now we are maintaining those in the constants, but you know, we are maintaining like the dev values and the prod values because we want to maintain the key names, right? So we are maintaining them in two different branches right now, like in a like dev branch and prod branch, for example. So what
Mm-hmm.
we are trying to do is like, have a truth table where we have those values available directly as part of like, dev column and dev output column and output column because our primary key is same, but I want to mask certain values. So within truth table, there is no way that I can mask a particular string, similar to how I could do that in a constants page. So in a constants page, if I add something, there is a password type text, right? So if I enter something, it shows me as a star or, bullet points so that nobody is able to see it unless someone who is actually adding it. But if I want to achieve the similar thing in truth table, there is no way I could do it. I tried a lot of things, but I could not achieve it.
Okay. Let's confirm here because I'm not sure if that's possible, but let me check. Let me check.
Mhm,
Let me not create reports, sorry. We'll create a rule. We're going to create an external truth table, all right? And this will
mhm.
be get constants. Oh, sorry. And then from here, I'm going to specify, I'm actually going to create a report and I want the flow constant report. I may be called something different. Flow constant from the database. We're going to add the mask value is true or false so we can see whether or not it should be. And we're also going to add just the value itself, which is the constant value. I'm also going to add constant type for comparison, by the way. So
Okay.
in here, you can see that some of these values are already being covered up, right? So the math
Mhm.
string and the secure constant. So the mask string, when you create one in the system, is only going to mask it from the user's perspective when they're working in the flow. It won't mask in the database. You want a secured constant if you want that value encrypted, so when you run a truth table like this, you can't see what it actually is.
So right now, I mean, we are not using the external truth table right now. Uh, so we have within the configuration, we have constants, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you go back to that, I'll show you.
Absolutely. Let me exit and
Well,
save this real
well,
quick.
Mhm.
Omar, doesn't make any sense because if you go and that thing that is masked, if you open up developer tools, you'll see the value. It's not protecting. It's just
No, so
masking in the
I'll
browser.
I know I'll tell you, what I'm talking about. Because that constants thing probably we can actually restrict the access to that altogether, right? At least when somebody is looking at the screen they won't be able to look at that, right? So that's
Mhm.
fourth one and the first one, right? So when somebody is looking at the screen they don't see that value, so
Yeah, but
I could actually
they can open up browser tools and they will be able to see that, I guess.
can you like for example click on the password constant or
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
secret constant?
So hold on. There are two different kinds of hiding when it comes to these particular constants. The password one is just a mask from the user interaction when they're working in the flows. That value is not stored in the database in any
Correct.
way that it hides it. This one is secured constant type will actually encrypt the value in the database. So anything you're pulling from that database,
Mm-hmm,
that's why I created a truth table against the flow constants, would not show the actual value. See, the actual value of this is just called important password.
mm-hmm.
If we go back to the long string that we saw on our truth table, apologies, where'd it go? There we go. and then edit this, you'll see that same value is something entirely different.
So right now we are not even using that secure one. We are only using the constant with the password text or
Hmm.
password type. So nothing is being stored in the database as of now.
Okay. Yeah, you're if you're trying to mask it just from the user seeing it on a
Mhm.
report, I don't know if that's going to function. It's just designed to mask from the designers, not from actually pulling the data itself. The data itself is not encrypted or hidden in any way. This is directly from the constants. So if people are seeing this, you would have to find a way to dynamically mask it, which I don't know if that's possible currently. I would lean towards secure if that's your use case.
Yeah, but still you are using the external truth table, right? So if we had a a normal truth table, right, where
Mhm.
we ourselves are actually providing values. So there we just have a basic data types like string, integer, and whatnot. So
Right.
there isn't even any data type that I could use, or at least I don't know where I could use some kind of a way where it is masked on the UI, similar to how
I
it is masked there on the constant page.
right. I get what you're saying. I am not certain if that's possible. I can take a look in that, but I don't know off the top of my head if that's something that can be set up in a non-external truth table.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I have to look. I'll ask devs and I will also take a look myself.
And also, again, Umar, it doesn't make
Hmm.
sense because if you have an access to a truth table, then it doesn't matter if you mask it or not. Even if you encrypt it in database, if you have designer access, you can decrypt it.
True. See, but the point is when I'm looking at the screen, let's say I have access, right? So if it is masked, then if somebody else is actually looking at my screen, that person also should not be able to see. That's basically what the mask helps, right? If I'm trying to do something and I have full access, that's fine.
But
The same thing goes with the password text.
no, it doesn't make sense because you can open, if you just mask it, you can just open developer tools in your browser and you'll see the actual value.
But that is what I am doing, right? I have full access. Somebody who is just
No,
looking at my screen,
Hold
right?
on, Umar. What he's
oh,
talking about. Oh,
sharing the
yeah.
screen. I I got your point. Sharing the screen. Okay, now I got you.
I was gonna say what you might want to try to do then is to this sounds like a better way to sort this out is with permissions to just hide or show the
Yeah.
field entirely rather than trying to mask it. That
Is
way,
there a way? That's what I was asking. I mean, that's what my requirement is. Is there a way by which, for example, if you add one more, can you add one more output column here?
yeah, sure
Let's call
thing.
it column two.
Yeah, sure thing. What you got?
Yeah. So now is there a possibility that I would like to, let's say, either hide the whole column or certain values from certain users based on the group or whatever? Is there a way?
Let's see here. To my knowledge, there is not a way to hide that without hiding the whole truth table. What would other users need to be accessing the truth table for?
For dev instance, so for dev values, they should have access to all the dev values, but
Oh,
not the
you're
product.
talking. I get what you're saying. You want them to be able to see a dev column and
Yes.
have the production column hidden from them.
Yeah, right. That's what I want. That's what my requirement.
Oh, okay. Um, I would lean towards making different truth tables, honestly, for that. Like one that's accessible to them that they see, and a different
Hmm.
one that's accessible to the devs that has that extra column. That would be how I would handle that. So you just hide the whole truth table. You don't deal with trying to hide masked ones or not. You have one truth table that has those correct permissions, can see those values. You have another truth table that the administrators can see all of it for, and you just use permissions to hide and show those tables.
Hmm.
Uh,
But then the
Greg-
only problem, yeah.
Gregory, I'm not sure, but you may be able to do so with designer actions and restrict those actions. So
Oh, yeah. That's a fancy way of handling it. Yeah, I'll try that out.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if you will be able to do so, but that's another idea.
Yeah, true. We should be able to restrict certain actions also, right? But the only problem there even is because it's a plain text string, it
Hmm.
will still be visible to the user. User may not be able to take any action, but still it's not masked.
I mean just for like visibility to the other truth table, like the user can't even see the one that has the prod column in it. You have two truth tables.
Yeah, the only problem with that approach is like, any new key that I add, right?
Hmm.
That has to be repeated in both the truth tables. So I'll have to maintain two different truth tables. Instead, if I just have a single truth table that, any new key added, by just looking at it as a like developer or as a admin, I know that, okay, the value for the same is not there in prod, right? Prod column. So I
Right.
will just change that. So for maintenance, it's easier this way.
I see what you're saying. Yeah, to have it all in one. You could just
Omar,
Yeah.
do.
the
Yeah.
main question is, why would you keep prod data in dev instance? That's the main question.
Yeah, because right now the way we are actually handling this is like, if we add a new key, right? So we have to explicitly like manually
You
pull
should not.
the
You should not do
separate
it.
branch.
You should not do it from decisions. You should do it from your CI/CD pipeline. You should not do it in decisions because
No, but if
basically,
I,
if you breach your dev instance, then all your prod keys will be breached as well, which doesn't make any sense. Why would you keep your prod keys in dev instance?
I
so
was
if I do that from using the CI/CD pipeline, right? So would it also like update the constant values for a given key directly? Can I do that?
Not from
um
decisions.
that depends on where you're storing it. I
So
was
decisions, so okay. See, right now, let me give you a scenario, right? So all our keys are actually stored in Azure libraries,
hmm
right?
hmm
But this has nothing to do with decisions for all our other like backend stacks and everything. But
right.
with decisions, there was no way, at least when we started working on it, for us to pull the data for a given key from Azure library, our Azure library. There was no way. At
Omar,
least
yeah,
we
you
didn't.
can. When you push, if you use decisions repository, when you push or if you import export, you can add something like after export or before export flow,
Mhm.
and then you use your Azure API and you pull your keys from there. So use the API instead of storing that in dev environment.
But even if I do that, will I be able to use the constant values for that?
Yeah, you can
How
do that in your flow. You can
Mhm.
do like in the flow, update your constant.
Yeah, we have internal service methods that would allow you to update the project
the constants
constants.
also?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, there would be a way to do that. Another thing as well that you could do is if you were to go the external truth table route, you could just
Mhm.
have those in a central database that gets updated. You have your two external truth tables, but the only place
Mhm.
you actually change the keys is in that external database. Therefore, all things that are pulling it, those that have access to the dev column and those that have access to the dev and prod column, all get updated.
Hmm. Okay. So basically, I still am more leaning towards the previous one
Mm,
uh, what's your name? It's showing
Vitali.
VT here. Yeah, Vitali suggested where if I could actually get the data from my Azure library on demand, then if I can, just fire one flow and then from that flow, I can just update the constant values once. And is there a way by which I can just, do that once rather than like, every call?
Uh, so it's up to you. You can basically you can create something like message queues, and anytime when you update values in your Azure, it will send a
Mhm.
message on the queue,
Okay.
and you will listen to that, and there is a flow that will update your constant on appropriate environment instead of keeping that,
So,
in
but
decisions.
but you are certain that I will be able to like get my Azure library keys from decisions. That is definitely a
Yeah,
possibility.
yeah, sure.
Okay, then I think that's even a better option. Then I don't need to worry about all this. I can just put some dummy values here and then I can use that flow to update it directly there. Then I don't need to worry about anything else. That's even a better option. Thanks. That definitely answers my first doubt.
Yeah, and for setting that up, I would definitely reach out to support because they'll be able to actually go in and see your environment and see the specifics.
Hmm.
Yeah, highly recommend supportdecisions.com for the details of that.
No problem.
All right. Did you have another question?
Yeah, I had one more question. So this is actually regarding the rule set.
Mm-hmm.
So in our rule set, what we have observed is when we had created the rule set, like we had like couple of rules under that, and then after that we like kept on adding more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like the order in which the rules are getting executed is actually the order in which they were added in the first place. It's like based on the created date.
Right.
It shows on the UI as a alphabetical order, but that's not how it actually gets executed.
Mm.
So basically, we wanted to force the order in which we want, right? Let's say I want this to be executed first and this to be executed second. So there was a property called sort order or something. We tried that, but somehow that is not actually getting reflected in our final output. It is still or like executing in the same order in which the particular subset of rule was added.
Mm. Okay, so we're adding multiple. Out of curiosity, just so that I might be able to look at this on my end, what kind of
Data
rule
return.
set? It's a data return rule
Yeah,
set.
data return.
Okay, and I'm assuming this is not a Boolean. I'm assuming it's like, I'll just put
Yeah,
string for
it's
now.
not Boolean, it's something else. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just put string for simplicity. And then
Okay.
is it instance control or template with instance?
I will have to check it. It's definitely not template with instances.
Okay.
Give me 1 minute.
Yeah, no rush on that. I just want to make sure that this is not something I know off the top of my head, so I
Mhm.
want to be able to test this properly.
Okay.
Gregory, I think one of the properties, if you right click on the rule when you create that, you should be able to set the order
I
Hmm.
did
starting
that.
with index 0.
I did that, but that is still not working in the
Oh,
final
really?
execution. Yeah.
That could be a bug.
Yeah. So it's a conditional in my case.
It's a conditional rule set.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Let me save that and I'll be able to look at that. But yeah, so what you're doing here is going to set the order and that sort of thing, and it's not actually functioning. So not set up. My bad. My bad. Interesting. I don't even see order.
No, that you will be able to see once you actually add one
Right.
particular thing.
Yeah.
There is one more small bug if you want to like make a note of it, is like starting 9.6, because that's what we are on. We are on 9.6.1.
Uh,
When you have like multiple levels of rules, those rules are not collapsible on the UI.
mm,
Even if you click on that, it basically just refreshes the page, doesn't collapse the rule.
interesting.
Yeah, that's just an annoyance. It's not like blocker or something, but still something to look at.
Right. So if I'm adding multiple of these and they're multiple nets, so this is not going to be multiple nested because I know I add this to the main one. But you're
So if you
saying,
click on rule A, it won't get yeah,
yeah,
it
oh,
won't
that's
get collapsed.
interesting. So I can't drop it anymore once I have two.
No.
Yeah.
So if you have multiple similar to how we have, it's very difficult to look at like what is going on. It's just more annoyance.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I wonder if this is part of the 9.5 redesign and something got updated in 9.6 because 9.5 kind of redid the UI look, and I wonder if that's from
Probably it
like,
was fine in 9.5. It started happening starting 9.6.
okay. All right. Yeah. I'll check if there's anything put in for that already or if that needs to be done because I still
Mhm.
have access to do that myself. I didn't always used to be on training, so I can do that.
Okay.
All right, cool beans. Yeah, I'll take a look at those and yeah, primarily reach out to support for the Azure one. I will look into the rule set and
Yeah,
see
sure.
if we can
The
figure out the order that's going on there. I know
correct.
that's a primary concern.
Yes, that's true.
All right.
And the one last thing, no question, but just one comment
Mm-hmm.
with respect to that sorting,
Mm-hmm.
the string sorting. If you have something similar to like 11 or 111 or something, then the string basic string sort would not work, because then it would get sorted after one, like one after 111 and then two, not really 1 2 3 4 and then one one
Oh,
one.
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Ah, I had raised that hand at that time, but
Oh, obviously. Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
You got it. So maybe the loop option, if it's more specific, might be the
Ye-
way to go for now.
you can convert, you can get numbers from strings, because strings, they are being sorted by ASCII keys, so
Right.
it's not being treated like 0, 1. You know.
Mm.
So yes, that's fair. You can
So one thing,
con
yeah, one thing I could have thought of actually, for that sorting, it has nothing to do with my problem, but I'm just sharing my idea. So there is one sort step. There are two, three steps. So one of the steps is where you can actually, like apply some custom logic, and then you need to specify whether you want to put it on the left hand side or the right hand side. There are two or three outputs there, right? So there you can just convert your string to integer, and then, accordingly you can push it. That's one way. Another way is like, once you get the integer, then you don't need to again convert it into string list. You can use the n velocity step for just
Mm,
creating the comma separated list out of it.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because
As long
we
as
are
they're not.
using n velocity. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's valid.
Yep.
Cool, cool. Appreciate the insight.
No problems. Thank you.
Mhm.
It's been fun working on decisions.
Right? Yeah. Feel the same way. Okay.
Okay.
Do we have any more questions from anyone else? Because I think we got everything currently in the Q&A answered. Let's see here. Yeah, and I'm not seeing any new participants, so going once, going twice, and I think that's gonna end it for today. All right. Thank you all for joining. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing you all on Monday, whoever's gonna be leading that one.